Reid joins us on 365 Sports. Reid, they just battered Tennesse from the start. Defensively, just smothered them. Your thoughts, could you have predicted it in a better way than what they do to move on?
No, I couldn't have. And I'm, nobody can say, oh, I wasn't surprised by 15 points. I keep reminding everybody, Tennesse had to hit a three late in the first half in order to get to 15. But we talked about it last week. Look, a team of, well, let me back up, because last week I told you there's no way Braden Smith can beat us, and he almost did. that dude for Purdue, I kept going, he can't beat us. It's like, I was texting with my son. I go, see, he just has 6 points. He's like, Dad, he's got like 28 assists. I mean, the kid was unbelievable. But I'll go back to the same thing. The outcome of the Tennesse game doesn't surprise me. I mean, a team of guards is simply not – they're not going to beat us. They're not going to beat this University of Houston team. However, you get a team that's got a 6'9", superstar who's as good a passer as I've seen in college basketball, along with a shooter on the other side and a 7'2" guy that jumps out of the gym. Those are the teams that give us trouble. But a team that's perimeter dominated, you're just not going to beat this Cougar team.
So, Reid, I mean, Florida and Auburn, I'm not going to knock the matchup. I mean, but they know each other. They've seen each other, so it's not something that we haven't seen before and won't see again a year from now. They're going to play each other all the time. Duke and Houston don't see each other that much, so there's a lot of new here. And both teams seem to have things that could solve the other's skill set really well. So how does Houston attack Duke and make sure that they can keep the scoring down a little bit so that it does not become an absolute ridiculous shootout? Yeah.
I'd be shocked if it becomes a shootout. It's interesting. So just between us, and don't tell anybody I said this. I've got a buddy that I do tons of work with, an attorney up in New York, huge, obnoxious Duke fan, double-degree Duke guy, just as obnoxious as can be. And so, we've been talking about this collision course that the two teams were on. And I texted him right after it was obvious both teams, we're going to play in the Final Four. And I said, I'm not going to tell you let the best team win, because Duke's the best team. I think the other three are dead even, and Duke's the best team. What I will say is the best team doesn't always win. And U of H doesn't have to be better than Duke. They just have to be better than Duke on Saturday. And does U of H have the skill set that can give Duke problems? Absolutely. The key to the game is going to come down to JoJo Tugler staying out of foul trouble. If he picks up 2 quick ones in the first 2 minutes because he's so amped up about guarding Cooper Flagg, then we're in serious trouble, because then we're going to be guarding Cooper Flagg, with one of the – probably won't be one of the other two bigs. We'll guard him probably with our 6'7" kid off the bench, Terrence Arsenault, who's been good guarding power forwards, but Cooper Flagg's a whole different deal. Cooper struggled early in the year with physicality and turnovers. If the refs let him play, he is going to see an enormous amount of physicality. I think last week when I was on the show, I was talking about JoJo and what a live wire he was defensively. And now the accolades are starting to roll in, right? National Defensive Player of the Year, and everyone recognizes how good he is. And so, U of H has got to make shots. And just like we talked about last week, they've got 3 kids that can jump up and knock down shots. And, I was telling y'all how good Emmanuel Sharp was. And but for an injury in February, he'd have been the Big 12 Player of the Year. And he's back. He was the most outstanding player in Kansas City at the Big 12 tournament, and he was the most outstanding player in the regionals. And they just seem to trade off. LJ can carry him, Milos Uzan can carry him, Emmanuel can carry him. But that's a long, rambling answer to, and I'll go back where I started. Man, this game's going to come down to JoJo Tugler and foul trouble.
Yeah, and you brought him up last week and discussed what he does, and he just, so many other guys get credit. He is gets credit from those like you that understand basketball. Where would you, or how would you, if you wanted to, I don't like to compare players, but who is Cooper Flagg to you that we may have seen in the past?
That's far.
So much forgiveness. Wait, did you say forgiveness like far? Or forgiveness like forgiveness? Forgiveness. Forgiveness. Forgiveness.
I'm hearing far.
Forgiveness. Like forgiveness. Forgiveness? Forgiveness.
I'm still hearing far, but whatever.
Introducing Stealth 2 with more carbon for more forgiveness.
Forgiveness. Just hit it.
Yeah. It's funny. I've been talking about that with my son that's such a big basketball fan. And immediately I said Larry Bird, and he called me a racist. He's like, oh, man, you can't say it. You can't, on a 6'9" white guy, you can't immediately go to Larry Bird. And I went, okay, all right, let me think about it. Because the reality is he's more athletic than Bird. He's more fluid than Bird. No one shoots better than Bird, but he's got, Cooper Flagg's got this beautiful, beautiful release. He passes as well. I don't know that I can come up with a comparison. The best I could do is the only other player who's as dominant in college that I've ever seen was Kevin Durant. Now the two of them are nothing alike,
Right.
But some of those passes Cooper Flagg threw the other night, they were just spectacular. In the thick body, and he's got this mean streak. I mean, he's got a toughness, and he is, golly, he's really, really good. I don't know how you defend him, and I don't know who to compare him to, because he has he's so versatile. Have y'all come up with someone that's not just a 6'8" white guy?
No, because I don't want to be a racist. But I really haven't. And one of the things that surprised me about him, and I didn't really watch much of Duke during the year, and then maybe caught a little bit here and there. He is so much, like you said, he's built pretty well. He's not some thin guy. He's built like he's been in the weight room, whether that's naturally or not. But he is a physical freak. As well. Yeah. And like you said, every once in a while he'll bow up those shoulders when he gets a dunk or an N1, and he's got a little bit of that in his neck, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's no doubt. He's got an edge to him and a toughness, and I think he's underage. I think he's like 19. So here we are. We got kids that are in their 6th and 7th and 8th and 9th years, and they've got a kid that's 18 or 19 years old. Here's the biggest challenge for us defensively and schematically. We can destroy a perimeter-oriented team. If you've just got a big and you throw it into the big, our double teams are so quick and our long arm post players are so active. They can wreak havoc on double teaming the post, and we can recover and close out. The spot on the floor where our whole defensive scheme breaks down is the high post. And wouldn't you know it, that's where Cooper Flagg's at is at the high post. It's gonna really be a challenge.
Reid, John Shire, from your perspective, I'm curious your thoughts on what he's been able to do. He's in the exact opposite spot as Kelvin Sampson. I mean, he's very new to this. In the Final Four, he's taking over for a legend. Just your thoughts on what his career arc has been so fast.
Yeah, the old adage about you want to be the guy after the guy after the guy, right? Mm-hmm. You don't want to be the guy after the guy. So you don't want to follow a legend and a Hall of Famer. You want to let one guy come through and gets fired because he doesn't live up to it, and then everyone kind of adjusts their expectations, and you want to be the next guy. Man, Shire's been the exception to that. He has been. I don't think he gets enough credit. I'm gonna say something that could sound stupid to people. His X's and O's are so much better than Coach K's. I mean, his scheming and offense and where I don't ever remember them being a high post dominated team, right? And so he's taking his talent, which is through the freaking roof, that let's set aside the fact that every guy on the team's, a McDonald All-American, but he's taking the skill set of his kids and adjusting what he does. So it's not just, I have this system and it's the Duke system and you're going to play this way. He's changed to fit. And that's why they've gotten better and better as the years gone on. And, man, I'm not going to love watching them play Saturday. And I hate Duke. I don't ever love watching Duke play. But I sure appreciate what he's done and how they play. And oh yeah, they can defend. Everyone keeps saying, oh, they're an offensive juggernaut. Well, they've also got a 7'2" guy. I don't know how big he is, but jumps out of the freaking gym, a rim protector. And they play a little bit like, we did back in the day. When you got Olajuwon on the back end, it makes up for a lot of mistakes on the front end, right?
Yep.
You can gamble and trap and you can funnel and you can screw up and you got a guy back there to erase your mistake. And they are really good defensively too.
They have
hadn't even mentioned, I don't know how to pronounce the kid's name. Knuppel?
Knipple.
I hadn't watched him at all. Oh my gosh, that dude's a baller. And he's kind of got that, he's on the perimeter and he's kind of got that edge to him too.
He helped them get off to a really good. He helped them get off to a really quick start in the regional final. He kind of Flagg is going to get his, but he was the guy that kind of gave him a little spark off the top. And they're big guys. They're seven. They're big. One of them's big, thick, and has got a little bit of an attitude. He's not afraid to stare somebody down and knock somebody down. And the other guy's just like you said. He's like a fly swatter back there.
Yeah, they're the complete package, and going back to Knuppel, you look at him and, again, I'm back to being a racist. Oh, he's a catch and shoot white kid on the perimeter.
Yeah.
No. Well, this is a recurring theme, right? God, this is terrible.
Yeah.
But no, he's not. Boy, he will up fake you and take you off the dribble and bounce and back you in and bump you and step back. And then, you mentioned the two big guys, and then maybe the glue that holds them together is Proctor at the point. So there's no doubt in my mind they are the best team. But I'll just keep going back to the best team doesn't always win.
So, Reid, I just looked up, several NBA draft experts that I respect and to find some player comps on Cooper Flagg. The two best I saw, and when I started thinking about it, Kevin Garnett and Scottie Pippen. Because defender.
I don't see no way. I don't see either one of those.
Yeah, that's the two best I saw that they comped him to. So
they couldn't find another white guy to compare him to.
I guess. I mean, there's been a lot of Larry Bird.
Kevin Garnett was a 7-footer, wasn't he?
And he played. Yeah. He played on the perimeter, but coming out, he was all back to the basket. Mm-hmm. He developed.
Let's see. Scotty Barnes is another one they threw out there.
Pippen was
the fact that Cooper Flagg's so good and we're struggling this much to come up with a comparator is a pretty big compliment.
Jalen Johnson, Andre Kirilenko is another one.
Or what about the kid at the Celtics, Brown?
Jaylen Brown?
Oh yeah.
Hey.
He's all around, inside, outside.
Yeah, he is.
Physical.
He's not just a shooter. He can Tatum, of course, is an absolute alpha for them when they won the World Championship. Reid, we've had Joseph Duarte from the Chronicle, who's covered Houston for a long time. We had him on to kind of summarize the weekend. Yesterday we had Galen Robinson Jr., who had 103 wins at Houston, played in 130-something games. He was wonderful. His dad played there.
Galen Robinson's the godfather of all this, the resurgence.
Yep.
If you want a name and a face, you talk about. I always go back to UT. That Rick Barnes, when he had TJ Ford, it was more than just a great player. It was the face of the program, and it made a statement in the state of Texas. Galen Robinson is the kid for us. When we got Galen and Kelvin got Galen, it turned that if you want a trigger point or an inflection point of when our program was resurrected, it's Galen Robinson Jr.
We had somebody, we had him on yesterday. He was on with us by video link, and we had a lot of Houston fans that were watching, and also one of them actually said exactly that Galen Robinson Jr. is the godfather of the renaissance of University of Houston basketball among players, because Kelvin Sampson, of course, is the one that molded this all together. And that was such a great compliment. I guess Juwan Roberts has probably passed him by on a couple of the stats or whatever, who's also an unbelievable player, like Kelvin's son in a way. That was cool. I wanted to bring that up to you. This seems to be, now Houston's been good for 5 or 6 years with Kelvin, but this seems to be that it's brought all of the different eras together, this run, and the pride of the University of Houston from the days when you played and in between, and now what this team is doing. Do you get that sense too?
Yeah, you know, and I don't know the exact number, but this is their 7th straight Sweet 16, and you know they missed out on a Final Four by a Michigan half-court heave, and could have made it to the Final Four last year. Lost to Duke when Jamal Shead busted his ankle. And so, you know, I think we talked last week that to get to this point, you got to be good and you got to be lucky, and we've been that. We're healthy. But to answer your question, I tell everybody who doesn't have the privilege of being around this group, this is a high character, high integrity group of kids. You know, Kelvin's been talking a lot this week about, you know, they don't have problems because he doesn't recruit problems and he doesn't tolerate problems. And they don't have any punks. They don't have any. Every kid on that team you look at and you think, God, I'm just so proud that he's representing our program and our school. And I hope the city will jump on board, you know, with this team the way they did with us. You know, that it became such a point of pride for the city. And these are the kind of young men that everybody, you know, they're easy to pull for. And I don't care what happens against Duke. You're playing with house money now. The fact they made it back to a Final Four, it was weird. I was watching the Houston Open on the 16th green in a tent, and I had a huge TV up in front of me watching the game, and I had earphones on, and I'm listening, you know, to the radio call. And when it was over, I was almost embarrassed. I was emotional. I like was tearing up and was trying not to look at my kids or you know, my wife goes, "Are you emotional?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am. I'm just so proud of these kids and this group and our program."
And you should be. And you've been able to strike it, like somebody said, man. You've been as honest as you could possibly be about it. Know the game, played the game, and now here we are with Houston in the Final Four. Thank you, Reid. Enjoy the rest of the week, and I hope you enjoy the weekend and Monday night too. So good luck with the Cougars as they move into the Final Four. Thank you.
Okay, great talking to you guys.
Reid Gettys, former Houston guard, with us